man was just about to drive home. A fat man in a suit sits up. The man was a bit confused, but the fat man kept calling and told the man to keep going. The man had no choice but to do as he was told. After driving for 2 blocks, he got out of the car at the place specified by the fat man. The fat man asked him how much he wanted to pay. Only then did the man realize. It turned out that the fat man had mistaken him for a motorcycle, but the man had never hauled anyone before. He didn't know how to charge, so the fat man took a little out of his pocket and gave him some money. Faced with this sudden gain, the man who was unemployed, he saw the hope of life. He drove his car to a crowded place, but this is where the motorcycle drivers pick up their customers. Soon a man came up to him. He was driven away. The man who had no choice. He had no choice but to go somewhere else, and when he didn't know where to go, a man got straight into his car. After dropping his guest off at the site, the TV aerial on the side caught his eye. Thinking of how long it had been since his family hadn't seen a TV, so he asked the company security if they could take it away. The security guard also had to dispose of the rubbish, so he told him to take it away himself. At that moment the customer came out. He didn't even ask how much it was. He gave him a few notes and left in a hurry. The man was a bit overwhelmed because this money was a month's salary for a job he once had. When he got back, the man replaced the antenna he had found. Looking at the motorbike in front of him, the man knew that this job could support his family. In the evening, the family washed the motorbike, washed and cleaned. This is the kind of man a man who has shown many people how great a father can be. A man called Midge. Last week he was a worker on an ostrich farm. Although the salary was not high, but it was enough to feed his family. One day Mijai came home from work. He saw his daughter and a group of children by the water cellar. He went up to her and asked her about it. He found out that his daughter had been trying to catch fish for her brother. She had accidentally dropped her hearing aid. Mijai immediately took off his trousers and went down to look for it. As he searched for her, he kept telling his son off, but his son told him he was going to clean the mud out of the water cellar, and then he would raise fish in it. When the fish have grown up, he would be able to sell them for money. Mijai immediately rejected his son's idea. Raising fish here, it's just not practical. That's when one of the kids found a hearing aid. When he got back, Mijai cleaned him off, only to find that when her daughter put it on, she couldn't hear anything. Angry, Midge, he chased his son and prepared to beat him up. She couldn't hear without her hearing aid, and with her exams coming up next week, Midge went to work, thinking about her hearing aid, and as a result of his distraction, an ostrich ran away. A dozen people failed to catch up. An ostrich that wanted to be free, so he went with the workers to look for the ostrich, but after searching for half a day, they couldn't find it. Midge returned to the ranch in despair. Seeing his work clothes at the door, he knew he had been fired, but the boss didn't ask him to compensate him because he was an old employee. He didn't give him any compensation. He even gave him an ostrich egg to spare his wife's worries. Mijai volunteered to say he had quit his job. He wanted a new job. His wife saw right through it, but she didn't say anything. She took the ostrich eggs her husband had brought home. She made a scrambled tomato egg. The next day Miguel went to town to have his hearing aid repaired. He was told that the hearing aid was obsolete, but it would cost more than 10,000 to buy another one. For Mijai, who was already unemployed, it was an astronomical sum. He had no choice but to leave. That's when the scene began. The motorbike became the family's hope, and every day before he went home, he would go to the construction site because the rubbish was useful to him. Slowly Mijai brought home more and more rubbish. The yard at home was almost full. He found the blue wooden door he had picked up was missing. His son told him mother had given the door to a neighbor. Midge rushed over in a fury, without saying a word, carrying the wooden door on his back. He left, leaving behind an embarrassed wife and a dumbfounded neighbor. At the end of the night, Miji realized that he had neglected his wife's feelings, so he apologized to his wife and promised that next time, he promised to bring another wooden door to the neighbor. She forgave her husband. The same day Mijai got a job delivering electrical appliances, but since it was his first time, he didn't know the route. He had been following the group, but halfway through, his motorbike stalled. By the time he lit it up again, the caravan had already left. Miguel was going to send the appliances back, but stopped at the crossroads. He hadn't had any new appliances in the house for a long time, so he took the fridge back home. This made the children very excited. At night, Miguel looked at the fridge in front of him. He was a little uneasy, and he thought of his daughter who was about to take her exams. So the next day, he took the fridge to the second-hand market. Just as he was about to sell the fridge, he saw a group of ostriches looking at him from across the street. This made Mijai's heart feel very torn. In the end, Midge did not lose his dignity. He sent the fridge back to the factory. Luckily, the boss didn't blame him. He was given double the money for his work and offered him a job. Mijai was very happy. He was about to tell his wife about his joy, but he saw his daughter and son selling flowers. Mijai was furious and rushed up to them. He kicked the children's stall. In Mijai's opinion, making money is for adults. All the children had to do was enjoy their youth. When he got home he found out that his son had gone to the street to earn money for the fish fry. He had gone to the street to sell flowers. This made Midge even more furious. He grabbed a hoe and prepared to smash the water cellar, but he was shocked by what he saw. The water cellar which had been filthy. Now it was crystal clear. Even the sparrows had made their home in it. It was then that Midge realized, as a father he had ruined his children's dreams. When he returned, Midge found a door frame. He found a door frame. He was going to put a door on the water cellar, but the rubbish fell over. Midge fell down, but with the help of his friends and family, Miggy recovered his life. To thank everyone for their help, the wife gave away the miscellaneous items her husband had picked up, including the blue wooden door. Daughter came to rub her father's medicine. She said she had changed the batteries in her hearing aid. Now he can hear. When the daughter got up to go out, Mickey called after her, but there was no answer. Looking at his daughter, who was so understanding, Midge had a feeling in her heart. I couldn't tell you how sad I felt. At night, Midge noticed that her son's hands, which had been so tender, were now full of calluses. It turned out that in order to buy fish fry every day, he would go out with his cousin. He would go out with his cousin to make money. He would give the money he earned to his mother for safekeeping. The mother said she now helps others sew clothes every day. All the money she earns is used to pay for household chores. But when the time comes, she will put aside a little money to support her son's dream. Hearing the conversation between mother and son, Mijai began to reflect on the situation. In the face of his son's dream, his wife had always been unconditionally supportive, but he kept saying no. A month later, his son had saved enough money to buy fish fry. He took a ride with his cousin to the city. He bought a big bucket of goldfish. On the way back, the children were very happy, but the bucket broke a hole. The children lifted the bucket to fill it, but they accidentally knocked the bucket over. The fish fry were scattered all over the place. Looking at their dreams shattered in front of them, the children cry helplessly. In the end, they picked the biggest fish and loaded it up. On the way back, the children looked despondent, but in order to calm the children, Midge sang a song. It wasn't very nice, but it did help the children to relax. When we got back, the children immediately ran to the water cellar and put the goldfish in, because it was their last hope. The next day Midge woke up to a crashing fuselage. It turned out to be a sparrow that had flown in. Midge opened the door and window as he watched the sparrow fly out, and finally a smile came to Mijai's face. Then the voice of the owner of the ostrich factory came from outside. He said that the ostrich had come back on its own. He told Miji to report to the factory tomorrow. Maybe if life closes a door for you, God will open a window for you. And that's the end of the film. The Song of the Sparrow. It's a niche film. Midge's lost ostrich, daughter's broken hearing aid, son's dream of raising fish, whales scattered all over the place, strange dancing ostriches, etc. Still the people who suffer but are pure and good. May every twist and turn of life is to bring life closer to completion.